So, dear friends, we continue. Yeah, the ones who care, the ones who are the most determined. A round of applause to yourselves, okay? Because today we have a very intense day. And I really want to remind you that in the history we've had these cases when the leaders of states were held accountable for these aggressive wars against the neighbors. We now speak about the Nuremberg trial, of course, and I want to invite the history popularizer, PhD in history, author of the YouTube channel History Without Myths, Vladlen Maraiev, with a whole bunch of followers. Yeah, we asked Vladlen to give a small speech and a small podcast, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to all of you. Thank you so much for the invitation. And what I offer you right now, the participants of this conference, Special Tribunal conference, just my speech. Why do we need to use all the experience that we've gathered as civilization to ensure that we have this fair trial? 95 years ago, in August 1928, there was a very important event that took place in the context of the world history. In Paris, the State Secretary of the United States of America, Frank Kellogg, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, Aristide Briand, they signed a pact. For the first time, this pact prohibited states to use war as a tool of state policy and state politics. So, the signatories of the document took a commitment to avoid war in order to resolve any conflicts, no matter what is the origin of conflict. But they promised that they will use only peaceful methods to reconcile. So, in 1928, 1934, 63 states joined the agreement. So the majority of those states that existed on the planet at that moment. Among the signatories was USSR as well. And as you all know, Russian Federation is the successor of USSR. So we just have to know that the pact of Briand-Kellogg is still valid. But unfortunately, this agreement did not become a deterrent for the World War II. Why? Because it did not contain any mechanism for forced execution, and there were no sanctions stipulated for the violation. But this pact became one of the key legal grounds for the Nuremberg and Tokyo tribunals after the war. Because Germany and Japan were the signatories of this pact. Not all the officials who were responsible for this aggressive war, not all of them actually managed to stay alive. The key criminals, of course, including Hitler committed suicide in his bunker in Berlin during the last days of Reich. And in a day, his Reichschancellor, the Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, did the same. On the next day, and after the Germany surrendered in order to avoid the trial, Minister of Interior did that. Henry Himmler, one of the key persons responsible for Holocaust, and also the last Minister of Aviation, Robert von Grein. And those criminals who were alive at that moment, they were taken to the tribunals since 1945 till 1946. One of the four accusation parts called crimes against the peace and safety of the humanity. The statute of tribunal told that such crimes comprise planning, preparation, initiation, or performance of the aggressive military actions or initiating any war despite the treaties or agreements, or taking part in a conspiracy or joint plan to perform anything of the above mentioned. And it's a very important moment. The Nuremberg Tribunal said that the crime against peace is the most serious international crime because it contains the it's a cumulative evil because it actually generates all other crimes and contains all other crimes, but the primary one is a crime against peace, crime of aggression, is the source of evil itself. And this accusation was presented to 17 people in Nuremberg. 12 out of these were got their verdict. 7 of them were executed. They were hanged. Wilhelm Keitel, out of these 7. Alfred Jodl. Minister of Foreign Affairs Joachim von Ribbentrop. Minister of Eastern Occupied Territories Alfred Rosenberg. Arthur Seyss-Inquart, responsible for the Netherlands, and Vice Protector of the Czech Republic Wilhelm Frick. Another convicted was the head of the Reichstag Ministry of Aviation, Luftwaffe commander Heinrich Herring. He was poisoned. He poisoned himself 2 hours before the execution in his cell. 5 more of those who were convicted, they got different imprisonment terms. Some got, the life sentence. But this story does not limit itself only to the Nuremberg Tribunal. There were 12 more tribunals where the Nazi criminals were of low ranks were prosecuted as well. Out of these 12 processes, at 4 crimes against peace, these were in the Accusation Act. In 1947-1949, these took place, and 3 more people were convicted, and they were imprisoned. But this is not all. When they speak of the Nuremberg trial, quite often people miss that in the other part of the planet, let's say, there was a similar tribunal in Tokyo. It was called International Military Tribunal for the Far East, 1946-1949. And the Japanese criminals were there, accused an aggressive war against China, against the US, United Kingdom, Netherlands, and other countries. And there also was the crime against peace mentioned. According to the Accusation Act, 6 people got the death penalty. 16 more got different imprisonment terms from 7 years to life sentence. Nuremberg and Tokyo tribunals itself were a precedent, became a precedent for the world history and for the international law. Because, for the first time, at international level, those who were responsible for aggressive war, they had fair trial. And they were held accountable. After the World War II, on October 24th, 1945, UN statute became valid. And I just have to quote because this document is one of the fundamental international law and it is still valid. So, Chapter 1, Article 2, Paragraph 3. All UN member states, they resolve the international disputes with peaceful means. Part 4 of that article. All UN member states refrain in their international relations from any coercion, any threats with use of force or its use when it comes to territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or by any other means. Russian Federation started the invasion to Ukraine. It occupied the Crimean Peninsula in February 2014. On February 24th, 2022, Russia started a full-scale invasion, unprovoked. This is a brutal violation of the international law norms, unprecedented for the post-war Europe. So, the punishment and the trial for the top leaders, political and military leaders of Russia, for the crimes against Ukraine, why do we need it? Not only for the justice to be there, but also to avoid the similar crimes in future. Because impunity makes evil go back all the time in return. And if you take the principles of the Nuremberg Tribunal, the crime of aggression is the key one, is the primary. It's the mother of all other crimes. Every day, Russian occupiers kill, injure, and relocate Ukrainian people. They destroy villages, cities, they rape, they loot in the occupied territories. That is why the Special International Tribunal for the crime of aggression against Ukraine must be established as soon as possible. Thank you for your attention.
Пане Владлене, дякую.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Some facts. It was really important to know that.